So today, went back to Isaiah. So we're going to start off from the beginning of 850 on the Septuagint, the Brenton Septuagint. Everybody has a lot of issues when it comes to Bibles. Which Bible do we use? The Tanakh, the Greek, the King James, the New Version, there's the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Tinsdale. There's so many Bibles. But here's the way I see it. None of these Bibles have everything you need to know and the exact truth. But many of these Bibles show you things that are the exact truth, or steer you to the exact truth, and you don't even know. Sometimes the King James Version will give you the treasures you need. Sometimes the Dead Sea Scrolls will give you what you need. Or sometimes reading the Tanakh in Hebrew will give you clarity. But when you read the Brenton Septuagint, the names are a lot more accurate, or they compound onto the other names to make the people who are in these ancient books a lot more obvious. Meaning, you can take that name from the Septuagint and a name from, say, King James Bible, and you could use those two names to pinpoint the evolution of the name until its modern day name. And you can trace if those people are them, meaning you can relate those people to the biblical people, or you can research the history of those modern people and see if they were invaders or if they were the natives who were already there. So you want to see if there was population switches, or if they were killed off and another people were placed in their stead. Sometimes that may be what it looks like, but in actuality, the people who are there are the people who migrated in, meaning the ancient people, and they might have just changed their name. Like, say, the Akkadians or the Arcadians, they had some evolutions in their name, and they always kept the word Acadia close to them, but they eventually became the Cajuns and then the French, right? And so we look at the French, we think, oh, white people, blah, 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 this, that, or French people, but they're not even French. And before that, they were Cajuns. And before that, they were Canaanites, Canaanites. So we gotta understand that it's not impossible to make sense of our history. It's just that we've been trained our whole life to, oh, it's impossible. Oh, it's out of our hands. Oh, you can't find out. Oh, this and that. So we don't even take it upon ourselves. Just like me, I do all kinds of stuff, but when I'm conversating like with my fiance, if I don't understand something, one second. All right, so I recorded a whole couple minutes without it being on pause. So I forget where I was, but basically what I was trying to say was that they teach us not to go there, not to look there. They teach us, oh, I don't want to hear it. Stop talking about it. And basically, through life, I learned that when somebody's saying don't look over there, maybe you should look there. So what I was saying was that sometimes got to take it upon ourselves to find out this information, because a lot of times we're just listening to people and what we heard, and we don't take any time to understand it or overstand it. I think I said, like, in terms of word evolutions, the words have been changed a lot, the definitions have been changed a lot. And that's why they say stupid Americans, because the whole world knows a certain definition and we know it by something else. Or also in terms of words, when the police pulls you over or you're at court and they ask you, do you understand? When you answer, yes, I understand, you're giving up authority over yourself. So now you have to abide by whatever they want. And so that's why you don't say, I understand. So let's get into it. Thou hast destroyed my land, and hast slain my people. Thou shalt not endure forever. Thou, an evil seed, prepare thy children to be slain for the sins of their father, that they arise not and inherit the earth, nor fill the earth with wars. And I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will destroy their name and remnant. And I will destroy their name and remnant and seed. Thus saith the Lord. And I will make the region of Babylon desert, so that the hedgehog shall dwell there, and it shall come to nothing. And I will make it a pit of clay for destruction. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. As I have said, so it shall be. And as I have purposed, so the matter shall remain, even to destroy the Assyrians upon my land and upon my mountains, and they shall be for trampling, and their yoke shall be taken away from them, and their glory shall be taken away from their shoulders. This is the purpose which the Lord has purposed upon the whole earth, and this the hand that is uplifted against all the nations. For what the holy God has purposed, who shall frustrate, and who shall turn back his uplifted hand? In the year in which King Achaz died, this word came: Rejoice not, all ye Philistines, because the yoke of him that smote you is broken. For out of the head of the serpent shall come forth the young of asp, and their young shall come forth flying serpents. And the poor shall be fed by him, and the poor man shall rest in peace. But he shall destroy thy seed with hunger, and shall destroy thy remnant. Alright, let's see if we can get this together. Starting off at Isaiah 14 and 31. Alright. How, ye gates of cities, let the cities be troubled and cry, even all the Philistines. For smoke is coming from the north, and there is no possibility of living. And what shall the kings of the nation answer? That the Lord has founded Sion, and by him the poor of the people shall be saved. The word against the land of Moab. Isaiah 15. By night the land of Moab shall be destroyed, for by night the wall of the land of Moab shall be destroyed. Grieve for yourselves, for even Theban, where your where your altar is, shall be destroyed. Thither shall ye go up to weep over Nabal of the land of Moab. How ye baldness shall be on every head, and all arms shall be wounded. Gird yourselves with sackcloth in her streets, and lament upon her roofs, and in her streets and in her ways. How all of you with weeping, for Ezabon and Eliel have cried. Their voices was heard to Asa. Therefore the loins of the region of Moab cry aloud. Her soul shall know. The heart of the region of Moab cries within her to Segor. For it is as a heifer of 3 years old, and on the ascent of Luth they shall go up to thee, weeping by the way of Arnim. She cries destruction and trembling. The water of Nimrim shall be desolate, and the grass thereof shall fail. For there shall be no green grass. Shall Moab even thus be delivered? For I will bring the Arabians upon the valley, and they shall take it. For the cry has reached the border of the region of Moab, even of Agalim, and her howling has gone as far as the well of Eliam, and the water of Diamond shall be filled with blood. For I will bring Arabians upon Diamond, and I will take away the seed of Moab, and Ariel, and the remnants of Adamah. I will send as it were reptiles on the land. Is not the mount of the daughter of Sion a desolate rock? But thou shalt be as a young bird taken away from a bird that has flown. Even thou shalt be so, daughter of Moab. And then do thou, O Arnon, take farther counsel, and continually make thou a shelter from grief. They flee in darkness at midday, they are amazed. Be not thou led captive. The fugitives of Moab shall sojourn with thee. They shall be to you a shelter from the face of the pursuer. For thine alliance has been taken away, and the oppressing ruler has perished from off the earth. And a throne shall be established with mercy, and one shall sit upon it with the truth in the tabernacle of David, judging and earnestly seeking judgments and hasting righteousness. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud. I have cut off his pride. Thy prophecy shall not be thus. No, not thus. Moab shall howl, for all shall howl in the land of Moab. But thou shalt care for them that dwell in Seth, and thou shalt not be ashamed. The plains of Esabon shall mourn, the vine of Sabama, swallowing up the nations. Trample ye her vines, even to Jazer. Ye shall not come together. Wander ye in the desert. They that were sent are deserted, for they have gone over to the sea. Therefore will I weep as with the weeping of Jazer, for the vine of Sabama. Esabon and Eliel have cast down thy trees, for I will trample on thy harvest and on thy vintages, and all thy plants shall fall, and the gladness and rejoicing shall be taken away from the vineyards, and they shall not rejoice at all in the vineyards, and they shall not all tread wine into vats, for the vintage has ceased. Therefore my belly shall sound as a harp for Moab, and thou hast repaired my inward parts as well as a wall, and it shall be to thy shame, for Moab is wearied at the altars, that he shall go into the idols thereof to pray, but they shall not be at all able to deliver him. This is the word which the Lord spoke against Moab. when he spoke, and know I say, in 3 years of the years of an hireling, the glory of Moab shall be dishonored with all his great wealth, and he shall be left few in number, and not honored. The word against Damascus. Behold, Damascus shall be taken away from among cities, and shall become a ruin, abandoned forever, to be a fold and resting place for flocks, and there shall be none to go after them. And she shall no longer be a strong place for Ephraim to flee to, and there shall be no longer be a kingdom in Damascus, or a remnant of Syrians. For thou art no better than the children of Israel, even than their glory. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. There shall be in the day a failure of the glory of Jacob, and the riches of his glory shall be shaken. And it shall be as if one should gather standing corn, and reap the grain of the ears. And it shall be as if one should gather, and it should be, be as if one should gather ears in a rich valley, and as if there should be left subtle therein, or as it were the berries of the olive tree, 2 or 3 on the topmost bough, or as if 4 or 5 should be left on their branches. Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel. In that day a man shall trust him that made him, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of Israel. And they shall not at all trust in the altars, nor in the works of their hands, which their fingers made. And they shall not look to the trees, nor to their abominations. In that day thy city shall be deserted, as the Amorites and the Evians deserted theirs, because of the children of Israel. And they shall be desolate, because thou hast forsaken God thy Savior. Because thou hast forsaken God thy Savior. Because thou hast forsaken God, not Jesus Christ, God thy Savior. And hast not been mindful of the Lord thy helper. Therefore shalt thou plant a false plant, and a false seed. In the day wherein thou shalt plant, thou shalt be deceived. But if thou sow in the morning, the seed shall spring up for a crop in the day when thou shalt obtain an inheritance. And as a man's father, thou shalt obtain an inheritance for thy sons. You hear that? It's the day, bro. Teach yourself, teach your seeds. Band together with your fellow brethren and follow the laws, statutes, and commandments, and worship one, the Creator, the God of Israel. Higher, higher. Thanks to LexWill for uncovering the name. Woe to the multitude of many nations, as the swelling sea, so shall ye be confounded. And the force of many nations shall sound like water, many nations like much water. And when much water rushes violently, and they shall drive him away, and pursue him afar, and as the dust of chaff, when men winnow before the wind, as a storm whirling the dust of the wheel, toward evening, and there shall be grief before the morning, and he shall not be. This is the portion of them that spoiled you, and the inheritance to them that robbed you of your inheritance. Woe to you, ye wings of the land of ships, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. He sends messengers by the sea, and paper letters on the water. For swift messengers shall go to a lofty nation, and to a strange and harsh people who is beyond it, a nation not looked for and trodden down. Now all the rivers of the land shall be inhabited as an inhabited country. The land shall be as when a signal is raised from a mountain. It shall be audible as the sound of a trumpet. For thus said the Lord to me, there shall be security in my city, as the light of noonday heat, and it shall be as a cloud of dew in the day of harvest, before the reaping time, when the flower has been completely formed, and the unripe grape has put forth its flower and blossom. Then shall he take away the little clusters with pruning hooks, and shall take away the small branches and cut them off, and he shall leave them together to the birds of the sky, and to the wild beasts of the earth, and the fowls of the sky shall be gathered upon them, and all the beasts of the land shall come upon him. In that day, in that time, shall presents be brought to the Lord of hosts from a people afflicted and peeled, and from a people great, from henceforth and forever, a nation hoping and yet trodden down, which is in a part of the river of his land, to the place where is the name of the Lord of the hosts, the Mount Zion. Interesting. The vision of Egypt, chapter 19. Behold, the Lord sits on a swift cloud, and shall come to Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved, and his presence, at his presence, and their heart shall be fainted within them, and the Egyptians shall be stirred up against the Egyptians, and a man shall fight against his brother, and a man against his neighbor, city against city, and law against law. And the spirit of the Egyptians shall be troubled within them, and I will frustrate their counsel, and they shall inquire of their gods and their images, and them that speak out of the earth, and them that have in them a divining spirit. And they shall inquire of their gods and their images, and them that speak out of the earth, and them that have in them a divining spirit, and I will deliver Egypt into the hands of men of cruel lords, and the cruel kings shall rule over them. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. And the Egyptians shall drink the water that is by the sea, but the river shall fail and be dried up, and the stream shall fail, and the canals of the rivers, and every reservoir of water shall be dried up, and every marsh also of reed and papyrus, and all the green herbage round about the river, and everything sown by the side of the river shall be blasted with the wind and dried up. And the fishermen shall groan, and all that cast a hook into the river shall groan. They also cast nets, and the anger shall mourn, and shame shall be upon them that work fine flax, and them that make fine linen, and they that work at them shall be in pain, and all that make beer shall be grieved, and pain in their souls, and the princes of Tanis shall be fools. As for the king's wise counselors, their counsels shall be turned into folly. How will ye say to the king, we are the sons of wise men, sons of ancient kings? Where art now, thou wise men? And let them declare to thee, and say, what was the Lord of hosts' purpose upon Egypt? The princes of Tanis have failed, and the princes of Memphis are lifted up with pride, and they shall cause Egypt to wander by tribes. For the Lord has prepared for them a spirit of error, and they have caused Egypt to err in all their works. As one staggers who is drunken and vomits also, and there shall be no works to the Egyptians, which shall make head or tail, or beginning or end. But in that day the Egyptians shall be as women in fear and in trembling, because of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shall bring upon them. And the land of the Jews shall be for a terror to the Egyptians. Whosoever shall name it to them, they shall fear, because of the counsel which the Lord of hosts has purposed concerning it. In the days there shall be 5 cities in Egypt, speaking the language of Canaan, and swearing by the name of the Lord of hosts. One city shall be called the city of Asadik. In that day there shall be an altar to the Lord in the land of the Egyptians, and a pillar of the Lord by its border. And it shall be for a sign of the Lord forever in the land of Egypt. For they shall presently cry to the Lord. Okay, wait, let's see what this is. In that day there shall be an altar to the Lord in the land of the Egyptians, and a pillar to the Lord by its borders. Pillar. Interesting. And it shall be for a sign to the Lord forever in the land of Egypt. For they shall presently cry to the Lord by reason